I'm excited to be here. This is heady stuff for a farm kid from Wisconsin. I am now week 7 in my new job. So I brought speaking notes with me, otherwise I might make broad references to farm animals or barnyard byproducts that might not be politically correct to be using in a speech. I should talk a little bit about just a little bit on my background. My kids are now home running the farm, and I felt there was room to give them, or time to give them room to grow and spread their wings without Dad looking over their shoulder. It's the farm I grew up on. There was 7 of us kids in the family, 4 boys, 3 girls. We lived in a 3-bedroom home, so things were a little crowded. Shared a room with all my brothers. Actually never found out what it was like to sleep alone until after I got married, which was an interesting development. I would like to talk about really 3 things today. First, a quick overview of Land O'Lakes, what we do, how we impact, how we touch agriculture. Secondly, thoughts on trade environment and how we and our member owners are affected. And then finally, some areas of solutions where we are focused from a policy perspective. So first, a little about Land O'Lakes. We are, I guess that was it. We are nearly 100 years old, 98 years old. We were formed by a group of Minnesota butter cooperatives, actually, that got together and said we ought to have a better business proposition. And we've added a lot of capacities along the way. Now, for anything to be nearly 100 years old involves a lot of evolution and probably a little bit of revolution. And I think we've seen both of those things along the way. But we are far more than the butter company we started out as. We are truly farmer to fork. We are insight-based, technology-driven, and a marketplace-backed cooperative. We operate with respected businesses and brands in addition to our dairy foods business, which many of you know us for. We deliver crop inputs and insights through our Winfield United Crop division. We also provide feed and feed ingredients through our Purina Animal Nutrition division. And then through our Land O'Lakes Sustain business, we're deeply involved with development and deployment of farmer-led stewardship tools. And this involves ag technology, innovation. We're focused really on helping farmers balance both the natural resources that we all steward along with the economic sustainability of the farm business. So across the businesses, we're in all 50 states and in 60 countries around the world. And we are building for the future. No doubt we have a unique view of the food and agricultural business. On the dairy side, we are owned by 1,850 direct dairy members who ship milk to us and look to us to process, market, and most importantly, add value to their milk through our products. On the ag side, we work with nearly 800 agriculture producers who buy directly from Land O'Lakes, along with about 1,100 locally owned retail businesses, so local co-ops, local farm suppliers. Through that network, we touch about 300,000 farmers. So we are proud to have a strong impact on agriculture, both in crop and in dairy production. On the dairy side, we're the 3rd largest dairy marketing cooperative in the country, about 12.5 billion pounds of milk, with members literally from coast to coast, Delaware all the way across to California. On the ag side of our business, through our network of those 1,116 locally owned ag retailers and the farmers they serve, we touch about half of the acres in the United States. So, because our members and businesses touch so many parts of the agricultural economy, trade is a top issue for Land O'Lakes. Now, I realize when you go to font 54, you're sending a message, right? So this is what I would call a non-subliminal message. Simply put, our industry has to be able to trade and export in order to maximize our success. And it's not just Land O'Lakes, it's all of agriculture. But from our perspective at Land O'Lakes, given the reach we have throughout the country, anything that impacts the ag economy is of interest to us. Overall, retaliatory tariffs and trade disputes are making a downturn in the ag economy even tougher. So it's no secret that agriculture continues to face a tough economic time. We've seen record low farm income in recent years, and net farm income remains forecast to near a 10-year low for 2019. In addition to reduced farm income, farmers have also seen costs rising, especially in terms of anything made of steel, like farm equipment, adding further to the economic stress they face. Farmers are struggling, and so are many rural businesses and communities. These are our local farm supply co-ops, our feed mills, our vet clinics, our equipment dealers. When farm prices are good, farmers are very good at spending their income locally. My brother used to say that my dad could get high on the smell of green paint, especially when applied to farm tractors, right? So farmers are good at spending that money. Retaliation against U.S. agricultural products has added to the stress that was already out there due to the downturn. It's very important to point to this added stress from trade conflict, and it cuts across all segments, almost all segments of agriculture, and the pain is not limited to one category of product. We're seeing and hearing from our members, we're hearing very clearly about the impacts on both the dairy and crop production part of the equation. On the dairy side, dairy trade is critical. 15 to 16% of our output is exported, needs to be exported. A 1 to 2% change in that number impacts prices by 10 to 20%. It's quite simple. Nations that have now imposed tariffs were our leading export markets for dairy products. For example, U.S. dairy products or exports to China and Mexico account for about 35% of the total U.S. dairy exports. And retaliation cuts into those exports, creating a surplus in the domestic market, leading to that reduction in price. As you can see on this slide, year-over-year dairy exports to China were down 45% in 2018 from the date that the first round of tariffs were imposed. 2018 income losses to dairy farmers were estimated to total over $1 billion as a result of that trade retaliation. Now, the trade mitigation program provided some assistance for dairy farmers, but it was literally a fraction, maybe 10% of the impact that was felt. On the crop side of the business, bean and grain producers, corn producers have seen significant impacts from the trade disputes. According to U.S. Commerce Department data, U.S. soybean exports to China were down 86% year over year for the first 6 months of the marketing year, beginning in September. And we have seen China make incremental soybean purchases, which is good news. Significant steps have been taken we believe, since the start of 2019 to move towards a stronger partnership with China. And we do appreciate the administration's efforts on trade negotiations with China, but we need to see that continue. Fully reopening that market is critical for crop farmers and many others. Another non-subliminal message, there are 3 specific actions that policymakers here in Washington can take to help resolve these issues. I'm guessing you know what they all are, but I'm going to touch on them. First of all, approval of USMCA. It's a critical step forward for certainty in trade with 2 of our top customers. Approval of USMCA is good news for all of agriculture, crop and dairy farmers, rural businesses, and the communities that we call home. OLakes has supported USMCA since the agreement was reached because it achieves several of our key priorities for a new trade deal. The USMCA benefits dairy. USMCA creates a more level playing field with Canada, eliminating their unfair Class 7 milk pricing system, and takes some steps to improve market access for those dairy exports to Canada. The agreement also maintains dairy market access in Mexico under current terms, which is vital because Mexico is the leading customer for U.S. dairy products. USMCA also benefits crop farmers and rural businesses through open trade. With this agreement, we'll also see improved regulatory coordination between U.S. federal agencies and international regulators. The goal is to promote consistency with a unified regulatory approval process for biotech traits. The agreement works to minimize unnecessary barriers to trade, like unfounded SPS barriers. But as a high-level matter, this is a good agreement for American agriculture. It enhances certainty for farmers and businesses at a time when we need certainty. Getting this agreement across the finish line this year is a top priority for Land O'Lakes and for our members. I think it's also interesting looking at some of these pictures. You can see 3 people very focused on making sure they're signing on the right line of the trade document. You also notice the guy taking a selfie right on the bottom of the picture. I think he got a pretty good picture there. Second thing, steps to ease retaliatory tariffs. We need to continue to encourage the administration to eliminate tariffs on foreign steel and aluminum. These tariffs have created additional market turbulence with retaliation from key export destinations like Mexico and China. We believe the administration should focus its efforts on expanding our export opportunities and eliminating the Section 232 and 301 tariffs as an opportunity to achieve that. You know, many of these international sales do not occur nation to nation, country to country. They occur business to business, company to company. These relationships took time to build, and when the door reopens, it will take time to reestablish these relationships. Finally, promoting additional trade opportunities. We like what we're seeing with Japan. We continue to support other promising developments as well. I haven't read anything on Brexit lately, but it'll be interesting to see where that's going. Japan is a very important market for U.S. agricultural products and a priority in terms of new trade opportunities. Bottom line, we have to trade, we have to export, and we as an organization are working hard in 29 to make trade policy work for American agriculture. Industries spanning the economy are looking at agriculture to achieve these policy goals, especially getting USMCA over the finish line, because agriculture has so much at stake if North American markets do not remain open. The single biggest concern and impact we see with regard to the current trade environment is that it's making an already tough situation even worse. The trade war isn't the only reason the ag economy is struggling, but it's putting pressure on farm families and rural businesses at one of the worst times. I've heard of ag as being the pointy tip of the spear in the trade wars. Now, I don't know a lot about spear warfare, although I'm learning. I think with spear warfare, in order to win, there's going to be blood on the tip of the spear. And I think that's what we're seeing in agriculture. And I think the other thing is you don't fight with spears like swords. You throw them. Once in a while, you throw your spear and you miss. And it gets lost. And we have farm families getting lost in this whole process. So at Land O'Lakes, our members' success is our success. We're deeply concerned that trade retaliation and uncertainty regarding trade agreements continues to put pressure on agriculture as a whole. We do appreciate this is an all-hands-on-deck effort. Many in the ag sector and in this room are working hard to expand trade for America's producers. I was glad to see Ambassador Dowd and Undersecretary McKinney on the agenda. Those are folks that have a vast experience doing the work in agriculture, right? They get it. So I was glad to see that they're here today, and I'm glad they're on our side working for us. Agriculture has an opportunity to lead here, and we need to take that opportunity. Thank you.